How the heretics? Let's get biblical, because there have been allegedly rumors that Watchtower asked for donations. It's not the first time they do that. Is there a sound? Do you have a radio in the background, Heather?
Can you turn your radio down, hon? Thank you.
Thank you, hon. So
It says thank you, hon.
The last Zoom meeting, I didn't attend, but they told me that Watchtower asked for RVs, not return visits, but mobile homes as donations, and they should be younger than 2005. So why would Watchtower want RVs? And also, we can make fun of them, but they also asked to get the donation for the 2021 convention beforehand. And I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot. I'm not a lawyer, but their whole business plan is that we get donation. It's a surprise. Oh, we get a donation and we don't pay taxes. But when they talk about that we want donations beforehand, well, then they say that donations for the convention is institutionalized. And then any good lawyer could argue that this is you're paying a ticket. If I tell you that we want the donation beforehand, well, then the donation is an institutionalized thing. It's just they don't call it a ticket; they call it a donation.
And in this country, if you were to donate for a specific purpose, that money must be used for that purpose. So they've shot themselves in the foot twice.
Yeah, but then it's also the thing, why would Watchtower ask? We can just save the mobile homes for... people are coming in here. Thank you very much. You can call in if you have some good ideas why you believe Watchtower want RVs. But I'm thinking about this. Watchtower asked, allegedly, for the donation for the convention beforehand. I can see two reasons for this. One, they want to remind the witnesses that you must give a donation because we are not renting the facilities, if I heard right. We don't rent any venues. We don't do any cleaning. We don't do anything. The convention this year is that you will be sitting in your own house watching a TV that you paid for yourself. And most witnesses will not feel like they own the governing body anything for this. Like I'm making this video, it takes me time, but most people just watch it and hopefully enjoy it. So I don't think what the rank and file Jehovah Witnesses will feel that, oh, we have to give Watchtower something. So maybe it's just when they say we get the donations beforehand, it's like just a reminder that don't think you don't have to pay. But also, I'm a businessman. I know that when someone asks for extra credit or money up front, it is a failing business. Yeah. I'm thinking about Watchtower, and I'm starting to think about Watchtower. It's a scripture in the Bible that say that you look at the wicked, you look for his place, but he is no more. What do you say in the Bible? The wicked will disappear. You look at him, and he is no more there. I don't know the English wording, but what do you think? They ask if they're asking for a donation up front. If someone come to say, I would need my salary up front, or I need my pay up front, or can I get credit until next Friday? It's not. It is a failing business when that happens.
Right. It just kind of struck me that maybe they're asking these people to kind of like pay for their salvation, kind of. Maybe the same concept, because that you have to show you're faithful by going to these conventions. Like you would give up your job in order to go to these conventions, and now they're asking you to pay for it ahead of time.
Yeah.
As if you were going to the hotels and things.
Yeah. But I think I have a legal mind, but I'm not a lawyer. But any business can try to rebrand the product they sell as something else in order to pay less taxes. If they have different taxes on different items, like I'm a farmer, so I pay normally in most countries, Western countries, you pay less tax for farm products because farming is struggling. So obviously I could try to move anything, like label window cleaning as farming if it's possible, stuff like that. And at one point it's illegal, but Watchtower is a printing company that runs on voluntary donation. We would like to give you this magazine. Would you like to give a voluntary donation? It's obviously a printing company that just don't want to pay tax. And any business can label their tickets as a voluntary entry fee and then put the enormous social pressure on the threshold where you enter the venue, and just call it the entry fee. So when Watchtower now claims, we want the convention donation in advance, they admit, in my mind, that the convention donation is an institutionalized thing that we expect. Then I think anyone could argue that this is a ticket, and a ticket would maybe be sales tax, and I think they made it harder for themselves, kind of. I don't think it will amount to anything, but it can be used against them. So what do you think? You're American, I'm not.
I don't know. That one's kind of hard because you really wouldn't ask for the money in advance. It would just be something that they've got to do all this anyway. I mean, they did it last year.
Yeah.
So it costs less money to do one centralized convention, and now they're asking for money ahead before you even get to the convention, before the arrangements are even really announced. Like, I'm sure they're all watching the same films. Like, to me, I'm kind of agreeing with you that like they're kind of a sinking ship at the moment.
Yeah, it sounds to me like they were planning on this. The conventions are a cash cow. People come, they spend money. They want the witnesses to book your hotel through us. Everything should go. It used to be that we paid them for food. We were not allowed to bring our own candy to the convention hall because that was untheocratical. You had to buy Watchtower approved candy. So if you have a cinema today, they don't make money on the tickets. They make money on you buying candy and popcorn and stuff. So you're not allowed to bring your own popcorn. And as a child, when we went to hear the word of God, I was not allowed to bring my own candy because that was theocratical candy. You had to buy from Watchtower. Then it was theocratical candy. Just like when you were Israelite and you wanted to go to the temple, you could not bring your own sheep. You had to buy a high priest approved sheep for a higher price inside the temple. The reason why they could control this. So if you came with your own sheep, so the Bible says I have to kill an animal to make God happy. You can't bring your own. You have to buy one that's approved by the Holy of Holy. Imagine if you could make sure that Thanksgiving in America or just in your state needed a header approved turkey, and that turkey cost 10% extra. That's a really good cash cow. That's what they were doing in the temple. So every time these people sold an expensive animal to you, a section of this money went to the pocket of the high priest. And then every time they changed money, percentage give to them. Everything has to be done inside the temple. Otherwise, they would block the sacrifice. And all the time, money went to them. So I don't really believe in the Bible, but I think the story is very plausible because Well, first, those priests and this actually happened. That was, corruption. But according to the Bible, the day when Jesus threw out these people in the temple, that's when they started plotting to kill him. And the people who wanted to kill him was the people higher up in the system. So making informal money on religion, even if you don't have to pay a ticket to the venue. When I grew up, we had to buy their candy. We couldn't bring our own. We had to buy their food. And little by little, these tax loopholes close. And now they just want the convention contribution while you're sitting home. So at this point, they're just the worst televangelists ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even the televangelists don't ask until you turn on that channel, like, call in now, we're ready. And like they've got one central location where they're doing all this media rather than all these convention locations and contracts with the cities and whatnot. And now they're asking everybody to contribute as if, that's.
Yeah, because the Jehovah Witness culture, they cannot just get out of it. And the culture has always been like, we were proud that we would never beg for money, but we would beg for money if there was a project, and there was always a project. So they say, we're going to do a Kingdom Hall and we need this amount of money. And there was like some kind of illusion of transparency, and maybe it was transparency on that particular object. We need this amount for lumber, this amount for gas, this amount for electricity. On the low level, there was always transparency. And then we have this project and we need money for, and we're going to build a Bethel in Finland and we need money for that. So there was always, they were never begging, but unless there was a project, and there's always a project. Mm-hmm. So it's the culture of
the same thing,
a project called the convention. And the thing is, we don't have a convention. You're going to sit at home and watch YouTube, basically. Mm-hmm. But we call it convention, and since we still have the audacity to label it as a project, it fits the culture of asking for donation. But I think it seems to me like they are failing, because they can always go to a bank, and believe me, Bethel and money, and we're talking about professional people with professional banking institutions and advisors. And when you're an organization like Watchtower, even if all of them are window cleaners, when they go to the bank and say, I'm representing God with $1 billion, they will say, well, this is your personal team of key account manager that will give you advice and help you, and we will give you credit. And so even if they're morons, the bank will hold their hands. So now
the bank will provide the guidance for the morons.
Yeah.
So
actually, most institutional bank will be kind of nice. They screw over poor people, but they don't screw over other rich people. Mm-hmm. So I think it sounds like they're having cash problem when they ask for donations in advance.
Yeah, I think the thing that you just like kind of lined out it sounds pretty accurate. Like they need a good chunk of money to go play with at the bank, and be led by the hand and spoon fed by the bank people, or the bank will help them out a lot if they have a lot of money, because they want them to bank with them.
Yeah, because from what I gathered, and I never seen the papers of this, but it was like Watchtower had a really good credit with the bank. So it was like, we want to buy some new toys in Africa, printing presses, and it was like, the bank will give us the credit, and we have this long-running relationship, and we pay back later, and have good credit.
Mm-hmm.
So if they need to ask for this in advance, well, thanks for all the people watching. I see 73 people watching. If you have any good ideas, please feel free to call in, as long as you don't do hate speech and you have a good quality on your sound, so at least we can hear you. But I only see two things. Either they are low on funds, like literally, and that means they can actually go bankrupt. When a big business like that start asking for money in advance, that could all sometimes be like just months before they go bankrupt, literally. And an organization like Watchtower with a lot of secrecy, you know, they will keep the image up for a long time before it collapses. And the other thing is maybe they just want to remind everyone that don't forget the donation, even though we don't give you shit this time more than Goat like do. So you still have to pay us for it.
I wonder if maybe it's kind of like a Ponzi scheme. What's that?
Can you see any other solution why they would do something like that? Because I know Watchtower to be very, very good with like legalistic read through every word and like avoid anything that might resemble anything that legally can be used against them for paying taxes. That's my impression of them. And my first thought when they said it, they're like, remember to give your convention contribution. They admitted that convention contribution is a thing, which basically means that any good lawyer for the revenue service, internal revenue service in America, could probably, I'm not a lawyer, but well, even I could argue that case. I might lose it, but that this is an institutionalized thing, and therefore the donation at the convention must be considered ticket income, not a donation income, and therefore the tax will be different.
And not just anybody can get in either, so at least not anymore. So how's that even affect the legalistic nature of taking a ticket?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's just when I see a possibility that this can be litigated against them, that means the lawyer probably think that this might be litigated against them, and they always keep like a long distance to everything that can be used against them legally when it comes to money. So they go close to it. Why do they go close to it? Because they see the chances are small, or that they really need to gamble because otherwise they might run out of funds anyway. So disclaimer, I'm not a tax lawyer. I just know how Watchtower works from my experience within, and obviously I never work with paper. I'm a sheet metal worker. So
sheet metal worker, goat farmer, and window washer.
I became a sheet metal worker, tinker. I can do all these kind of pots and pans and stuff like that, but in real life we do for construction, ventilation and roof, and all these handmade roofs. I don't know if you still do them in America, but like old churches and everything, you can do this very beautiful. It's a beautiful trade, still do everything the old way and stuff like that. And actually I got that education because then you have an education where you can provide for yourself, but also give to Watchtower. You can build all the stuff they need. So
it's okay to have the education if it's for Watchtower.
Yeah, it was okay to be a plumber, a carpenter, anything that Watchtower needs. I remember I should have been a lawyer. I was really good at this because witnesses are really legalistic, and I'm going to do a video about it later. But I was like super good at stuff like that when I was a kid. Some stuff the elders couldn't explain and didn't want to explain was nothing in the literature, and I, as a child, could explain it because the Old Testament said so, the New Testament said so, and Jesus said so. And when Jesus said something, that's like a Supreme Court ruling, and and I could explain complicated stuff. And I remember when I asked, well, why can't be a lawyer? And my father said that a lawyer is a person that protects criminals. And I also asked, because they're always saying literature, well, in the
Watchtower should be
you can't be a lawyer or a doctor. That's what they say, people with high education, lawyer or a doctor. And I said, why can't you be a lawyer? Well, he protects criminals. Which I thought is weird because also Watchtower have a lawyer, even as a child I thought that. And then they say, why can't be a doctor? They say because a doctor makes money on other people's misery. That's what the explanation. So I thought when I was a kid, a Jehovah's Witness cannot work as an undertaker because that would also be making money on people's misery. You cannot fix people's cars like automobiles because the car breaks down. I'm making money on your misery. That's really weird. It was my logical sense as a child, because if you can't make money on people's misery, Actually, you're not making money, you're helping them. That's how you're making money. But anyway, I should have been a lawyer, but they said you can't be a lawyer. But I used Paul as an example. The Apostle Paul, he was a tent maker, and therefore you can be a sheet metal worker. And the weird thing with that story is that, Paul, he was actually a lawyer. He was a lawyer and a tent maker.
So essentially, he was very well versed in the legalities of everything. Well, I guess they had.
Yeah, he was a Pharisee.
Like that.
Remember, the Mosaic law was a law. So if you studied Mosaic law, if you lived in Israel and you were an expert on Mosaic law, you were a lawyer. That's a lawyer. He studied the highest institution, and it was, the feats of Gamaliel. He said, I studied the law by the feats of Gamaliel. That means like I went to Harvard Law.
That's nuts. I never realized that.
Now, if you're an expert on the Mosaic law in Israel in that time, you were a lawyer.
I imagine they needed experts with as weird as that law was.
Yeah, and all the crazy stuff. Every time there comes a new law, let's say you come a new piece of legislation for anything, then you have this legislation, and then this problem starts appearing. Is this case legal? You have all these gray areas. And then you always find these gray areas when some people get away with it, and sometimes they don't get away with it, and they go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court had a ruling, and then after some while, you get some kind of understanding that this is okay, this is not okay, and this is okay, That's how it takes some years before we know what the law actually means. And that's normal. Every civilized country, this happens. So imagine when they came up with a law, you should not work on the Sabbath. Well, that's an easy law to understand, and the Congress passes this, but what does it mean? Does it mean women can't work? Well, obviously they can make food, obviously you can feed a child. Can you take care of someone that's dying? Yeah, you can take care of someone's dying. And then they said, can you take care of a soul? You take care of a soul. And then some people use the loophole. Well, if you can take care of a soul, and a sheep is a soul, it's breathing, nefesh, like the witnesses actually write about that one. So they would save a sheep on the Sabbath, like Jesus said. But you see, the law about the Sabbath came. Normally, it takes some times, and the police will say, well, in the beginning, we will not put anyone in jail. We'll just give you a fine until we all find out how this works. But in the Bible time there, it says like they came up with a law, you should have a Sabbath, and the next week they find someone that was gathering wood. Okay, gathering wood, making food is okay. Taking care of a sick person is okay. Making a fire for the sick person is okay. So is gathering wood a big crime? Remember, this is a desert where you don't even have any trees. So we're just talking about a few sticks. Straight from execution. That's like.
Oh, wow.
So yes, you would need a lawyer in Israel. That's my point. They had lawyers because, I pick up a stick on the wrong day and now they want to kill me. Let's call someone. So yes, he was a lawyer. So let's see. Are we talking about Mute? Yeah. Are we talking about wider RVs? Yes, let's talk about that. Do anyone have an idea what Watchtower are going to do with mobile homes? They want, allegedly, mobile homes, RVs, newer than 2005. And do you have an idea, Headers? And please, I'm giving a link here, so if anyone wants to call in, please call in. That's the link.
Only thing I can really, logistically, the only thing I can really think of is that, they're trying to do all this JW media so that you don't have to look at real media. So they need a place for all these people to stay.
What? Yeah,
and they have people auditioning for roles in JW media, and they need a place for all these people to stay. And it's cheaper to take RVs.
If they're gonna run they are turning into a tele-evangelist, and they want us, well, not me anymore, I hope, but they want us to watch their TV instead of real TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the information control. Watchtower have information control by volume. A smart cult buy a small place in the jungle and just build a commune there where everyone is poor. You know, but they can't talk to outsiders. Or like the Amish, you have some kind of way to be isolated. But Watchtower and Mormons, we live everywhere, so you need some kind of constant buzz of Watchtower propaganda that overrides everything else.
So I wonder if the RVs are for the film crews or something, or the people that are being filmed, so that they can keep making all the media. They need some place for them to stay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If they really want to do this, imagine if they're gonna make so many high quality videos, because they are not that stupid that they believe they can just make shit. Watchtower tried to do good quality. They fail, but they tried to do. You remember the magazines were really good quality. You have to hand them that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like super quality everything. And if you go to the printery in Sweden, you know, it was like a minor problem with something, and they would just discard it directly. So I think they have that idea that they should make videos that have really good quality, you know, all the Bible videos. And so basically when people come home from job, they will say, oh, let's sit down and watch Watchtower TV, like Watchtower Flicks.
Mm-hmm.
AW Flicks. That's what we're going to do tonight. That means they have, if that's what they're planning, that means they really need to amp up production. And then obviously they need a lot of trailers to move from place to place for the setting up scenes and stuff like that. That's the only thing I can see.
That's the only thing I can see. Like, I don't see that many J-dubs having RVs. Like, it's not unheard of. But I don't see that many of them having RVs.
No. If it was for the governing body or something like that, they would buy new. You know, they would go and buy something new and expensive. But for like rank and file, like if you and me and we were out there building sets for, you know, cleaning the beach for litter and making a beautiful video before the actors came, you know, we would have to live. I remember I've been on Watchtower construction, and we were living in, you know, campers, like small mobile homes, like really small. And there were like 10 people in it. So you basically cannot, you know, you have to go and you're lying like this, sleeping after long days. And you're sleeping on the floor. So you basically have those people in the bed has to go in one at a time to lay down. And you have to climb up, like people living like that. And we're building real estate for Watchtower. So obviously they are happy as many RVs, if that's the film crew. Pasta babe Linda James, hello. She says that she believes, I think that's what they are doing to be for the JW film crews, furry makeup and hair costumes and such lunchrooms that can travel for the next location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. They have to find locations, and normally they can get good deals on location and stuff like that, you know, because they would buy, rent something really we're down, and we would clean everything for them. So probably they made good deals, you know, because we would come a venue, we would clean it like it never been cleaned before conventions. And obviously we didn't get paid, but Watchtower made probably a good deal, I suppose. So they can still do that kind of schemes with finding locations, like, we're going to film a video in this location, and we would like to have 500 volunteers to paint this place. And then, shing, we get paid to use the location. I'm just being creative here, but they can do the same kind of scheme they've always been doing, Just instead of saying that it's a convention, we have to clean the location, and Jehovah's people make stuff clean.
Sounds about right.
Context is everything. Say it's better to rent for filmmaking. It's so odd. Yeah, but if you get a free RV and you can sell it afterwards, then
Or being at a campground, like every night at the campground, you get way less than a typical hotel room, and you can cram, like you said, 10 people in a camper. So.
Yeah. I don't think you can eat in a camper like if you're 20 people, but like you stay in them and Harold. Yeah, that's true. So Linda, you can call in. The link is here. No, that's the wrong. That's my shagging vans for actors during break time.
Oh.
Yeah.
You have to be married to be on the film crew now.
Huh?
I said you're going to have to be married to be on the film crew now.
They got to?
I'm commenting on Stien's. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Stian? I don't know. Yeah, when they had the dramatization on the convention, with Moabite women, then they had to have the Moabite woman had to be married to her the Israelite husband because they were like clinging on him, and it should be no clinging, which is kind of okay, I guess. Not having clinging Moabite women. If there's a PMO watching this, a person that's a Jehovah Witness against your will, and you have to go to a meeting, I want you to do what I always wanted to do. I wasn't brave enough to do. Is when they eventually they will ask the question: if we could visit Israel, what would you like to visit? And everyone say the temple or Bethel or something. Raise your hand and say the Moors of Moab. That's where they fornicated 3,000 Israelites and that.
Oh wow! Talk about a party.
From the Bible, do you? Moab, that would be the name of a disco.
That level of detail was not my thing then. I was still in high school I just graduated high school when I got booted.
Yeah. Who is Jason? Are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
Do you have an idea what they're gonna do with the RVs?
This is news to me. I just saw it on the on Facebook, something about the RVs. What's going off? It's
Yeah. You have no guess?
No, I don't know anything about it until now.
Yeah. So I've never seen you before. Tell us who you are.
I used to be a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years. I've just recently left the organization.
Were you kicked out?
Sorry?
Were you kicked out?
Oh, no. I left of my own accord.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
you
just...
want to share with us why?
Yeah, it's a few things, really. It all started with, like, people, like, within the congregation. There wasn't really, like, friendly, if you like. They kind of are really cliquey. And these people were the only people we had to associate with. It was very hard because I felt isolated in the Kingdom Hall as well as isolated out in the world. So I really found it hard to make real friends. And then I ended up getting divorced, which didn't help. And then I just had lots of doubts as well with the governing body. I just didn't believe they were the anointed chosen ones of God. So there's a lot of things, really.
Well, take it from me, it's just a man-made religion. So if they're not nice, then there's really no reason to be there.
No, like I say, I was 8 years old when I first was introduced to the religion from my mum and dad, and I believed it all. I believed because it answered the questions like, is there a God and what's the purpose of life? But there's just like this, even in the Bible, it doesn't answer all the questions that I have, and it's just so vague. So when you realize, there's a lot of answers that, a lot of questions that can't be answered, should I say, you have doubts to things.
Yeah.
Like for the Bible, for example, like with the days in Genesis, it's like it blatantly says that it's like the earth was created in 6 days, and there's another scripture that backs that up as well. And people just say, "Oh no, it's just a period of time," and it's like, yeah, well, 24 hours is like a period of time. It's what the Bible says, and it's like, well, why do you doubt that? And they say, well, it's because science has proven that obviously the Earth's millions of years old, and so they manipulate the scriptures, if you like, to fit that narrative. But
yeah, they always say that we had to write it that way because it was written for goat farmers. Like I'm a goat farmer. It's like if God would have said that I created universe and it took a long time, then it's like, I'm a goat farmer. I can't understand that. This is so confusing. Obviously, a goat farmer can understand the concept of that the universe took time to create. No, we have to say something really stupid like that. Mammals were created in a day. Like, think about nature. It's very interconnected, Animals eat plants eat animals. They go both ways. Some plants basically grows on dead bodies, all stuff like that. And so if it's the goat farmer can't, we have the Almighty God capable of everything except explaining the concept of a long period to a human being.
Yeah. Well, it's because that religion too, it kept you uneducated. Because I never used to believe that, like Neanderthal, I don't know, like caveman.
The Nephilim.
Because the Nephilim. No, Neanderthal. Like the caveman that was discovered in Europe. Like a Jehovah's Witness, I always thought that was like made up, and so I never thought that there was an actual thing, as such as a Neanderthal or any sort of like caveman. And when my girlfriend told me it's a real thing, the Neanderthal, I said, no, it's just made up. It's make believe. And then when I've looked into it, it's actually true. There's like these, it's hard to explain exactly what they are, but they're not like modern humans. They're kind of like a caveman sort of type creature.
They are humanoids. They are the same tree, and we could interbreed because you and me, as white people, basically, well, I guess all three of us have like between 1% and 2% Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah, that's what they tell us. Yeah.
There have been some interbreeding. So, like Africans, sub-Sahara, they do not have any Neanderthal DNA. So, I like to tell white supremacists that they don't, we do. But we are probably like all three of us together. We're between 1% and 2% of Neanderthal DNA. So there have been some naughty humans,
Yeah. So I looked in the Watchtower, and they actually have an Awake article about Neanderthal, which I found really interesting, that they have actually covered this subject. And they said that they are people. They came up with a little bit of information about them, not too much. It just said that they were like, people, because they found that they carved tools out of stone and weapons, and they had communities and looked after the sick. And so in the Awake magazine, they didn't cover it in the Watchtower, but in the Awake magazine, they have a little few paragraphs dedicated to the Neanderthals. And they do recognize that they are like humans. Oh, sorry, they say people. So they don't say they're humans, just say that, they were people. Like, kind of like making out they're just like normal people like you and I. But that's not the case.
No, kind of a different breed, but close enough that we could interbreed.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you was like using the Awake magazine to educate yourself, they leave so much information out. Because I've recently got the on eBay, like the National Geographic magazine, 1994 it came out about Neanderthals, and there's so much information about them in there that the Awake doesn't even touch on.
Yeah, sorry, Sofa Lawrence say here. They made an announcement that they wanted lending, but preference was to donate outright to anyone who owned an RV. Yeah, it sounds like them. And thank you, because this is it's good to check many sources, because so we're not slandering God's one organization. But when Watchtower, thank you, Sofa, I don't know how to pronounce it, but when Watchtower asks for lending, it kind of often ends with, now you can keep it. Or like when you lend money to Watchtower for a project, they say, well, I gave you this much. If you give 50% back, it's okay. So, but I guess lending is also okay.
You never really want to lend anything that you're not prepared to lose in the first place. So,
do you think the RVs are to fulfill a random prophecy?
we need to find another parable that'll match. Parables into prophecy.
People don't exist.
All right, sounds like my kid's getting noisy, and we got to run. So I'm going to sign off. It was nice chatting with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for calling in.
No problem.
So, good luck with your bathroom.
Oh, gracious. Too much work.
Jehovah will bless you.
I put in the effort.
It's guaranteed. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
See.
So, Pasta Babe, are you here?
Hello?
I can see. She come on if she wants. Yeah, so tell us where you left now. It was you and the Neanderthals?
Oh, yeah. It's just because they don't...
Wait. She said this is important. Sorry, I have to... Sophia said, but you must lend it for minimal 2 years. Was that in the... Okay, could I just ask about something about the English language? When you say RVs, is it just RVs that like with a motor that you can run around, or is it like a trailer that you can park like a mobile home? I Googled it and I thought, because when it says minimal 2 years, it sounds like they have a project that it can maybe just standing. That's not good for an engine. So
I think RV is recreational vehicle, isn't it? Any recreational vehicle?
Yeah, it's a vehicle. Yeah, it's not a trailer.
No, I mean, it could be, but it's usually a recreational vehicle, some sort of 4x4, or usually like a camper van.
Yeah, they want to lend it for 2 years, but still pay for the expenses. Yeah, of course. If anyone have any cash or money or anything they want to lend me for 2 years, and I'll take it. It's a nice Ponzi scheme, but no, probably just a project with traveling around. guess it's something to do with the films. But like I said before, I think a lot of people that do run companies, they will say like, I can do this. I muted her mic. Maybe some people can buy it as a business expense and give it to Watchtower. And I've seen them do this a lot in Norway. Like Watchtower don't know about it, but when I was in a building, people often come to me and said, I donated this material. They asked me to donate material, and it's great because I can do this as a business expense. And that means that this guy did something illegal, basically because Watchtower allegedly asked him to do it. And this happened many times. So I guess might happen in the US too now too. Here it says motorhome or 5 wheels. 5 wheels? What's that? The steering wheel is 1 wheel. I don't get it. Usually all in one mobile home. Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyone who got the link of the governing bodies RV Begathon? No, it was on a Zoom meeting, but I guess it will be. Guess it will be on Cedars within Lloyd Evans' channel within a few hours. Mobile Kingdom Halls? Nah, I don't think so. Hey. Here, Rhubarb. I feel bad for the witness in the RV business. They're probably getting a lot of pressure to this discount to witnesses. Yeah, that's probably. No, but seriously, when I was a witness, they would often come to construction and say, like, Watchtower asked me to donate this, and I write it off as a business expense. And that's illegal according to Norwegian law. But the Watchtower kind of had their hands clean because they were good not to keep paperwork. So. Governing boobs is funded $40 million to offshore hedge fund account. Yes, maybe. Allegedly, I don't have the possibility to fact check it, so I will not. Fifth wheel is a gooseneck trailer. Thank you very much. Then I would like to ask you, what's a gooseneck trailer? A fifth wheel is pulled by a truck. It's a trailer. Okay. Yeah, this is my old brother-in-law. Ex-brother-in-law. Can someone donate a mobile home to me? I need to go visit Jonas this summer. Yes, you're very welcome. Derek. With my 2 nieces. Fifth wheel trailers have a hitch that connects to the bed of a truck instead to the back. Yeah. So now it's just me and a lot of disconnected apostate, mentally deceased, disconnected apostate. Jason, are you there?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I interrupted you, but it was I got.
No, that's fine.
It's very sorry. I just have to excuse myself, but reading this everything at once is actually very difficult. So sorry if I was rude and interrupted you. You spoke about the Neanderthal.
No, it's just I wanted to learn about the RVs. That's why I came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know what the new updates is with the RVs. That's all.
Yeah, maybe they want to cook Crystal.
Like Breaking
Bad. Breaking New Light.
Could be.
Yeah.
So what is it? Are they buying lots of RVs or what?
No, I don't think they're buying anything. Obviously they decided we can't afford this, we have to go bagging, and then they were really, if my experience tells me anything, when they decided we put 0 in this account, we will just squeeze it out of the brothers, then they do it. So if the brothers don't give enough, well, then the Bethelites are suffering, and it's the brothers' fault. So it's kind of a way of communicating. We decided that you pay for this, and if you don't pay for this, the Bethelites are suffering, and they will tell their mother they are suffering. That will tell the congregation, and sooner or later we get another one. So I've seen that when they decide you will not pay for this, you will pay for this. They will wait until they get it, because who's suffering? Not the leaders. It's the low ranking that are suffering, the youngest, and the youngest always call to their mothers, and their mothers call to spread the rumors.
Yeah.
So Breaking Bad people. Yeah.
I've noticed like the rank and file, normal witnesses have to pray to God for like financial help, but then the leaders always ask the members, which is just ironic.
That's a good point. We should pray to God that they will ask us. Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember one instance where this little girl needed an operation, a Jehovah's Witness needed an operation, and the governing body didn't. They could have easily paid for it, but they didn't, and the Jehovah's Witness family had to go to the worldly internet and ask for worldly people to help, which they did.
Yeah. I remember when I was on Beth, I was a super witness, you know. I never really had a status in the organization. I was working really hard, but you need to be like very loyal to the organization above being loyal to principles. So I'm kind of proud that I never was an elder. But I've been working on Bethel and everything. And I remember one thing they always said when talking about HR thing, you know, like human resources, like the fact that a woman will get fired if she's pregnant. That's super illegal in every civilized country. Oh, you're pregnant. Let's make sure you have no job and no place to live. You know, that's illegal. And they do it anyway. And remember what they always say, like in internal communication, why Watchtower did it, like an excuse that make them look good.
Yeah.
This is something that makes us look good. They say, you will be fired because Watchtower is not a charity. That's what they always say. Everything that's connected to HR, why they acted like, well, borderline illegal, I would say, or actually illegal when they came to that guy. They always say, remember that Watchtower is not a charity. But when they ask the government for money and not paying taxes, now, oh, we're a charity.
They really say that to the members?
Yes.
Oh my
They
God.
say that. Not like, never in writing, but when you're in Bethel, I remember sitting in Bethel in Norway and we're talking about this, how they do, you know, what kind of security you have as a Bethelite. And it's like, you do one mistake, you're fired. If you get pregnant, you're fired. And like, I'm a roofer, you know, I can fall down literally. And you know, when you end up in a wheelchair, and they say, well, you know, if you end up in a wheelchair, and this is what they say, Watchtower can't use you.
That's right.
And you will have to leave because this is not a charity.
Wow.
And we had no insurance, and they refused. I remember once they made an announcement that this week we're going to remove the scaffolding, and that's because scaffolding is expensive. And I went to say, you can't remove the scaffolding just because they are done with the walls, you know, the drywall and that. You can't remove the scaffolding because I'm not done on the roof, so you forgot about that. And they said, well, you know, scaffolding is expensive, and it's just you. And
Like,
I remember
you're explaining the process that should happen to actually maybe save them some money, but it's just you. Okay. Yeah,
but that is illegal to allow someone to work on the 5th floor with no safety whatsoever, no safety whatsoever on the 5th floor with no insurance, because we're not. Well, they are a charity when it talks to legislation and taxes. So then they're a charity. But if I fall down, they will not help me because they're not a charity.
So
we were building condos in downtown Oslo. It was a Kingdom Hall and 7 condos. But then they said, you know, it's not really our job to own condos, so they sold all of it and built a new Kingdom Hall.
Oh wow! So isn't it much like being an independent contractor? I mean, people donate their time and it could look like you're being employed, but if you're an independent contractor, then you are responsible for your own insurance, your own license, your own, So I think that's how they have it set up.
Yeah, no.
Even with the carts.
Yeah, they have some kind of legal mumbo jumbo, but it will not stand in court, really. It does not in a civilized country, because you also have the elders book that say you will be automatically disfellowshipped if you take them to court. And yeah, and that is, well, it's not witness tampering, but what do you call it? It's like pressuring people illegally to
Yes.
not take it to court, because this document that you're not allowed to take it to court is something you signed as a child. So if I fall down from the lack of scaffolding, so if I'm building condos in Oslo that they will sell with a profit, they don't give me insurance, they don't give me salary, and I fall down and they say, well, you signed a contract as a 16-year-old that you can't sue us.
Yeah.
You will not stand in court. In Norway, in most countries, you have like some code laws that a contract must be honorable. What does this mean? It doesn't really mean anything, but in extreme cases like this, a judge can just look at it, look at all of this and say, this is not honorable.
Right. And because of our ignorance and naiveness, we don't really realize that the act of baptism is truly the beginning of a contract. I think there is. See, I was never baptized, so once somebody is baptized, do they sign anything?
No. You don't sign anything.
I didn't sign.
Okay.
You did sign?
No, I didn't.
No, you don't, unless they started with that like the last year or something, but you don't sign anything.
So when I did an interview, when I got a chance to interview William Bowen, he explained it as being a verbal contract. And psychologically, when you make a vow or a commitment amongst friends or a large group, you tend to, keep that vow or that commitment even more so. And this group can also hold you accountable. So when you have an elder or somebody that, has been placed there by the Holy Spirit and they hold you accountable, you kind of just do it, There's many different things that are so manipulative. And if you just don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah. I know in the elders book it was like, do you know where the background sign come from, Apostle Babe?
Is that mine?
The background?
Huh?
I don't know what it.
Okay, it stopped now, so thank you. I know in the elders book it was like when they should disfellowship someone, they should ask them what year they were baptized, because their method of disfellowshipping someone was for legal reasons different based on when they changed the baptism questions. So they believe it is a contract, but from my bush lawyer idea of if Watchtower write this down as a contract, they see it as a contract, but they prefer to have it verbally, because it was written and you would take it in court. Any judge would just look at this well, obviously you would say that how old was this person. So that's one of the reasons you don't want it as a written contract, because then it would just be automatically void. So as long as you make it verbal, it's more like some kind of floating thing that you can argue. As soon as you put it in paper, it's like void. Correct. But secondly, even if you're above the 8 years of 18, in most countries you look at the contract, you see, is this a reasonable contract? And if there's a contract that says that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that, we are not responsible to do anything. Like, it's an extremely one-sided contract. that you have to do everything we say forever, and we can come up with new ideas anytime and punish you for violating that.
Right, like a kaleidoscope.
You work for me, you do not get
Mhm.
paid, you have to do everything I say, and I can
Mhm.
change the rules, I can change your name, I can change your family, I can change everything, and I can change it back. I can tell you that you cannot take medical treatment, and I can change it at any time, and you're not allowed to civil rights if I say you're not allowed to. And then on the other hand, my obligations is zero.
Mhm.
You know,
And see, if it was in writing and I read all of this and I signed it, that would mean I will have made an informed decision.
yeah, but still it would not stand in court because it's too
Okay.
one-sided.
That's
The
true.
judge would look in that and say that this is way too, you know.
Yeah, and what I'm actually saying is we never even get a heads up. We never even get a heads up that that's what it's going to look like until what 15, 30 years down the line, we realize things get said to us and presented to us on a need to know basis whenever they decide we need to know.
Yeah.
When we've done something that we didn't know was evidently a disfellowshipping offense or something, and next thing you know, we're standing there wondering why we were disfellowshipped. Like, I hear about this a lot. I hear like confusion with many people who have gotten disfellowship, like they don't really get. Like, that's how shocking it is for them.
Yeah. No, if the Baptist thing was a legal contract. Sorry, I muted the microphone here. You have to, now we know the sound come from Aposta Babe. So if you can see where you have your microphone placed, if it's close to the loudspeaker, please look at that before you log on again. But imagine if you go to court with a contract that's one-sided, like everything is on you, nothing is on us. You know, this is what we agree. This is what we agree that Jason has to do. And we can change it at any moment that anything else is what this contract means, that you have to do whatever I say for the rest of your life, and you cannot back out of it. That contract would not stand in court even if you're above 18 years old, because in most countries, you know, even in a strict Catholic country like Italy or something like that, you're allowed to take a divorce because I made this commitment to a person and it doesn't work out, and I can move on with my life. So being trapped in a religion, even if you're above 18, is the contract would never stand. So therefore, Watchtower, and obviously they have been thinking about this. Should we put the Baptist Christians in writing? And they say, well, we don't really want a judge to look at this because it's so obvious that in most countries it would not stand in court. So let's see here. It says, sounds like the plot line for the TV series The Prisoner. I never seen that, so I can't really comment. It goes back to the WoW they made in 1908, June 15 Watchtower magazine until 1958. What's that? Please tell us. Lost in Space. It wasn't my fault I woke up during a nap. I thought it was the toilet. Ah, yeah, you peed on Elder's book. Yeah. IT violate human rights. You mean Watchtower, probably. And I agree. I agree. So let's see. Jason is gone, and the postulate Linda James is gone, I think.
I'm still here, Matt. Just having problems with my internet at the moment.
Okay. Yeah. So, are you Irish?
No, British. Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. Okay, I'm so sorry. Didn't you have a? I'm joking.
No, it's all right.
Didn't you have a famous serial rapist from Yorkshire that was a witness? The Yorkshire Ripper.
you talking about the Yorkshire Ripper? Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that they were studying with him. They used to go and study with him.
Yeah, I
the
think
prison.
he was a witness.
I don't know whether he was baptized. Well, I don't know how he could have been baptized in prison, but he did allegedly study with Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay. Yeah, I think
So-
I heard. I never heard about him before. Louise Good, I think, said that he was a Jehovah Witness. The case with Roy Goodrich versus Rutherford, I never heard about that.
No, me.
I have to go to my friend on Watchtower history. He has a lot of good ideas about everything.
So that means Peter Sutcliffe will be in paradise then one day.
Yeah, hopefully. Stian says, I studied under the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit for baptized, but now there is no Holy Spirit and no Spirit-directed organization. Yeah, I always explain this to worldly people that Jehovah Witnesses don't get baptized to the Father, Son, and the whole organization, the Holy Spirit. They get baptized to the Father, Son, and the holy organization. That's, you get baptized to the printing company, not to God. It was a vow in addition to the dedication in baptisms. Okay. Yeah. I think that sounds complicated. We have to take it another time. Let's see what people say here. Good morning from Foggy, Australia. Stian. So, did you disassociate or did you... Have you disassociated, Jason?
No, I haven't. So, it aimed to like do some activism work with Jehovah's Witnesses by not disassociating.
Okay. Yeah,
so if
that's
I see
cool.
them on the streets or on the carts, I can go up and I can do a little bit of unwitnessing, if you like.
Yeah, but it's kind of easy to talk with them even if you're disfellowshipped. I do that all the time. I sometimes say, I just say, I'm disfellowshipped, but I didn't do it. The elders did it. I'm innocent. And then I keep talking.
Yeah.
And my newest favorite is that I say that I wasn't baptized. I was baptized, but we never did a covenant with salt. That's in the Bible. You should make a covenant with salt. That's what Jesus did God, Jehovah did to David. They did a covenant with salt. It sounds complicated, so it's enough to throw them off the ball.
Yeah.
What kind of activity do you do?
The elders can get wrong sometimes, though.
The elders can get
the disfellowshipping wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get some. They can accuse somebody of something and disfellowship without no proof.
Yeah. He's undercover. Love it. Yeah, it's kind of fun. My father, he admitted that we had I was a kid then. I remember there was a name. As soon as they spoke about his name, everyone lowered their voice and was like a secret. So I remember his name, but he was an elder. They created all this problem. He was actually a roofer, the same trade as me, but if memory serves me right. But he were employing a lot of Jehovah Witnesses and contractors and stuff like that, and got them disfellowshipped. And my father's later they found out he used disfellowshipping as a tool in vendettas against business associates. So my father admitted he'd been disfellowshipping a lot of innocent people.
Yeah.
And my father also knows. My father knows that what the elders did against me was wrong, and still he says you have to be loyal with the organization. His own son, even himself, has been disfellowshipping people, innocent people, and he know I'm innocent. Oh, not so innocent.
I like how they like people with trades. They always push that, don't they? Like electricians, plumbers, joiners. They really encourage people to do that sort of work.
Yeah.
It's all based because they want that building maintenance or for buildings to be built. That's all they care about.
Yeah. It's a real estate company, so
Yeah, definitely, definitely is.
yeah. So we should stop on a happy note now because there's no one else calling in. So what are your plans for the year of now Jehovah Witness not being a witness? Will you do all the cliches and get a tattoo and grow a beard and
I've already got the
YouTube
channel. See, I'll show you my tattoo. I've already got a tattoo.
Oh, wait.
See it.
Oh,
I've got Cult Wars t-shirt.
okay. Yeah, but
yeah, I've got a tattoo, like a kind of religious one too. I don't know if you can see. Can't really how to. I've always liked tattoos, and it's just like not been able to do it, and so you kind of like suppressed. So you like do things in rebellion, really. I think.
yeah. Tomorrow is the Norwegian national holiday, like the national day, and I'm gonna celebrate that with my flag, even though. So let's go pagan here. So
yeah. Well,
yeah, I'm curious. Churches in my area in the US have begun having service again, but Kingdom Hall still like uptight. That's a good question, Susan Brewer. Do you have an idea of that, Jason?
What's that about? What?
The witnesses could start having Kingdom Hall meetings again. You know,
I was thinking about this. When are they going to do this? Are they going to do the preaching work soon? I don't know.
I think they will not do it. They just turn into, it's about, a business grows to a certain time when it can't grow anymore, and then it's just to keep the business.
Yeah, I think it's proven that
or you keep it.
Yeah, Jehovah's Witnesses are like fair weather Jehovah's Witnesses. So like it's only when they only go preaching when it's safe to do so. So like even when it's raining, they go away. So it doesn't really make any sense. You think that if Armageddon was coming and it was intimate, that you think they'd go out trying to save lives, not hiding. I don't. Despite whether there's a pandemic or a war or anything really, you'd think they'd be out there saving lives, but
yeah. Remember that when they said that, what if there will be a war? Will we stop preaching? No, because Jesus didn't say when you see the sign you will go home. So the whole idea of stopping preaching just because of it's a good thing they don't do it, but according to what they believe, they should. It's not like when you see the sign, you should go home and watch JW broadcasting. That's not what Jesus allegedly said. He said, well, the story doesn't make any sense, but if he said what Watchtower meeting said, they always used to say, if there's an earthquake, you should still preach during the earthquake.
Where's this protection from the angels? Because if you're out in the field, they said there's always going to be an angel with you. So no matter if you come across any problem or adversity, the angel would protect you. So you'd think, with the COVID, they would go out there and the angel would protect them from any disease or virus. So
yeah, or you should be willing to give your life and blah 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 blah. Nah, I'm sorry to say this if there's some apostates that haven't woken up yet. It's a business. The business grow and you get more and more clients and more business, and if it stops growing, it's about to keep your market share. So let's say you turn, I think they will turn the Jehovah Witness into like the brethren. So Jehovah Witnesses have their own Facebook basically, so witnesses can flirt with each other but not meeting other people. They have all these quiz and videos they should see, so they keep busy, different things to keep them busy. No, we're not related. I think I never met him, so actually he has to answer that for that. Nah. Most kingdom halls in my general area are sold. Could you please tell us what general area that is? Keep the lamps burning. Ha! Okay, there's a lot of spam here.
I'm just
Yeah,
checking in to see if my
actually,
microphone works any better.
halls. Because they can sell all the kingdom halls, cash in, and start building something else instead, and say from now on we don't have circuit assemblies and district assemblies, we have service meeting group camps for education, and therefore we need some new kind of infrastructure that they can start building and using instead, and have monthly meetings. I think they just have to come up with something and people will believe it, but they really need to get the flirting going. You know, you will not be a Jehovah Witness. You know, when you were a Jehovah Witness, we wanted to flirt with the sisters, and the sisters wanted to flirt with us. You can't have young people growing up in an organization where they don't have the possibility to meet someone. So with no conventions, no JW match, they have to come up with some kind of school for kingdom evangelizer light, where almost everyone can go, I think.
I think so too.
Ah, Apostle Babe.
Am I better sounding now?
Yeah, no,
I
you
changed-
sound better.
I changed my
They'll go back to
headphones.
normal, I think, anyway.
Yeah. So tell us, Apostle Babe, what do you think? You were out of the loop here for a while. What do you think about the RVs and the flirting and the... Yeah.
Okay, there must be flirting. Flirting must happen.
Yeah.
Now, so it's just, you know, we need that. Whether we mean it or not, we need it. So there's been an announcement, within the last 6 months or so, to some effect, or a rumor that JWs are not supposed to go on that famous JW site that we always see on Google.
Yeah.
I think it might have been in a broadcast example kind of thing. Somebody was talking about like they used it and it was projected as a bad idea or something. So
Yeah,
maybe they're going to. I'm sorry, what?
I made a video about it.
Okay.
It's my
Yes.
favorite video, but almost no one watched it. So please go and see it.
I will. I think I saw it, but I do need to see it again because flirting is important. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they might come up with something else, but they need the members to be isolated and they need the members to be busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a hairdresser myself, so as far as the RVs and stuff and the new building that they're putting up for making their movies and their videos and stuff, it makes sense to me that these could be used for hair studios, makeup studios, and it could be an office. I think it will just make the whole thing be travel. I think it will make it all be able to travel from location to location, you know?
Yeah, that's the whole idea with RVs.
Yeah, so I've done like where I've shown up on location and done somebody's hair for a video that they were going to make for their business. And, you know, I would have to spread everything out and then I have to do everything in a sanitary manner. So having water at my convenience, being able to have a restroom is something that needs to be put there for me and the people I'm working on, you know? So all of the stuff that I bring, I don't want to pack it up every day. So if they lay it all out, maybe they can just lock it up at the end of the night, come back the next morning to their trailer, and that can be used again, you know, for however long they're on the scene.
Yeah. Well, the reason why they have trailers in Hollywood, you know, it's because they move from set to set, you know. It's
Precisely.
Yeah. So I also think that's what they're gonna, because when it comes to construction, like building stuff, and I spent a lot of time of that, so that I know you don't really need mobile homes. Then you just need a trailer, with no engine that you can move. And sometimes they ask to borrow that and stuff like that. But no, I guess it's the. But what do you think about asking for the convention donation in advance? What your take on that? I think like the two
Well, I
things.
haven't heard this. Has this happened?
Allegedly, yes. On
Okay.
last Zoom meeting, that they started asking for the convention money donations beforehand, and I see
Well,
two things. They are going bankrupt, and since it's a secretive organization, it might go down like this. When it breaks, it breaks.
mhm, mhm.
But also that they want to remind you that the convention donation is something you should pay, even if
Yes.
you don't get a donation. You're sitting in your home, in your own sofa, watching your own TV, but you have to pay still. So
Right.
either
So that keeps things in a manner of similarity. So we used to always give at conventions. We prepared to give it in conventions, and now they're having these through JW Stream. So being prepared to give in that situation, whether it's needed or not, the fact that it's doing something you've always done is important for the experience too. To feel like you're at an assembly, if that makes sense. So I've had a chance to watch a one-day assembly actually on Easter Day through the JW Stream.
Okay.
And what it was a circuit assembly. No, I'm sorry, a circuit overseer and whoever the people are under him. So it was them, whatever congregations he has. And it went pretty well. There was a couple of hitches, and then it went blank, and it was so cute. There was this little sign that said something to the effect of, "Sorry, friends, we're having technical difficulties." I laughed so hard because it said friends. So they had the sign already ready. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. Nah, it's weird. I wonder if we go back to the organization 20 years from now, and I go there and I be the best witness I ever can, and they will, it's so much change. I'm pretty sure if I shaved my beard, I stopped, well, I don't really do anything wrong, but I stopped my apostasy, obviously, put on a suit, go back to the meetings, and they would be like, "Brother, why don't you have a beard? And why don't you celebrate Christmas?" They change everything. I would probably be
You're right. This could happen.
Christmas,
You didn't keep up with the chariot,
Yeah, you have to keep up with the chariot.
Exactly.
We celebrate. We don't celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Christmas. Yeah.
Something having to do with Michael the Archangel.
So I wonder 20 years from now, I don't think they're gone, but I think they might be. I'm a small business owner, but when someone starts asking for money beforehand, and it's that kind of business, like a big business, like Walmart or anything like that kind of size. Well, Walmart is bigger than Watchtower, but you know what I mean, like a size
I do.
giant business starts saying, we would like you to, like, if you go to Walmart and they say, well, we'd like you to pay for your goods before you enter the store. Something really wrong when they start doing that.
It is really wrong. It sounds very counterintuitive, but if you think about it, if somebody has invested ahead of time, say they bought movie tickets before the time of the movie, if you've already paid for it, you're probably going to show up, meaning you won't let anything distract you because you've already invested in it.
Yeah. But I understand the thing, but and that's a powerful thing, you invested, but also that it's a streaming, I would really like you to pay me for this, but no one's paying me, and you get it for free, It's the same, and if someone did pay,
right.
it's not like they are obligated to watch it. You know, it's free for everyone, and it's the same with people. Don't it's like the whole business idea of giving away paper in the 1800s. People were like, oh, paper with actual print I can read, okay, thank you, and they would read it from a flame, you know.
Right.
Now no one wants to pay for paper, you know. Even if you would give people a Bible, they would just look at the Bible, say thank you, and put it in the pocket, you know.
Right.
Things,
And they
and
made a point of not
pay
having
for
enough
live
paper
stream.
available. I'm sorry, I'm speaking over you. Please finish.
No, I'm just saying no one expects to pay for a live stream.
Right. And what is the organization going? I mean, when we went into different stadiums or locations, we knew there was some overhead, either the electric bill or water bill or gas. You know, that we had some kind of mental something that we would be paying for. So since this is JW Stream, what can they come up with that would give us the impression that there's some kind of overhead to pay? What would, I don't know what that would be. Do you?
No, the witness culture is like they, you know, and that was a nice thing, you know, we're not begging for money, but they were begging for projects, and there's always a project going on. So we never beg for money, but now we're building in Africa. We never beg for money, but now there's a battle in Finland and so on. So now, what project is there? There's no gas, no electricity. So they just have
people
to say for the convention.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's like getting money for nothing. Because these people, when I watched the JW Stream, they were all in their own homes. You know, it wasn't like they were at some particular studio where they all shared the same back curtain or anything. It was from their own home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I watched it, from my own home, you know.
Okay, so it was basically what we do now. It was just a Zoom convention, basically.
It was like a Zoom convention, except this is called JW Stream. So I think they're going to take us off of Zoom eventually and, you know, use JW Stream for whatever. I'm not sure. I think that's what they're going to eventually do. And I do believe that it would be wise to at least 3 times a year to gather at a location where we could meet up and see each other, you know, and there's a whole thing mentally. And when you get to see a large crowd of fellow believers, you know, that whole brotherhood buzz can happen, and that sense of awe, you know, and that's something that's super important, that keeps them zealous and gives them like a shot in the arm of joy and purpose and all that, you know, and it gives them that little bit of a buzz of my brothers all love me and I love my sisters, you know. They get that back, and that could, to me, that would be smart to do for that reason.
Yeah,
and then take us to the JW Stream, but they do need to come up with something, because different congregations are already gathering for different reasons, including, I've heard, read the Bible. So if they don't take a grasp of that soon, it would be bad. As far as JW mentality, leadership mentality, I think that they need to come up with something.
I think they will sell all the Kingdom's Hall. It would be kind of a good move now to
absolutely.
But then they need something else. First, they need us to build stuff so they can sell, and need a place. You have something to look forward to. We're looking forward to Paradise isn't good enough. You know, deep inside, everyone know it's not coming. So I would guess, so they can't just sell the Kingdom Halls and being new. I guess they would have like some kind of education centers, like school for evangelizer, and then maybe have good deals with hotels and stuff like that, or maybe build their own hotel. You know, who knows? They build a hotel, they can sell it afterwards. So you have a conference, and then they say to young people, you know, if you do what we tell you for the next 5 years, maybe you can go to the school for kingdom evangelizers and find a husband. And this way they have both boys and girls working hard, and then they can have like event like married couples over 60. So then if you're over 60 and you're a married couple, you can go there to school.
That
and
would be very smart.
People in the same age, and we met Doug and Lucy, and they showed us pictures of their grandchildren serving Jehovah. And you
Exactly.
get the Mormons are smart with this. If you're a Mormon, you can go to a single ward, like they have a congregation with only singles.
Yes.
So I think the witnesses will turn out to something between tele-evangelism, the Mormons, that kind of thing. Like you have like event-based, like all the young together or all the old together.
Yes, the Mormons do that once a week, I believe.
Yeah.
That's part of their week.
And the exclusive brethren. The exclusive brethren basically don't go and preach because they find out preaching doesn't work. So we get new light that says that the ingathering is complete. It's us. We're the exclusive.
Okay.
We don't ever have to preach.
Okay.
It's easy like that. We don't have to preach. We are the exclusive brethren. And then they have meeting 7 days a week.
Oh, that occupies a person's time and keeps them busy.
And they have a rule that you cannot eat together with a worldly person. You cannot live under the same roof. So that you can't even have a condo in a building with other them.
Oh,
so you have to build your own separate house unless you live in a hotel, which is not realistic. So it's a really small religion, very much like the witnesses. There are like 10,000 of them around the world, and they have to flirt with people intercontinentally for not having inbreeding, and they have rules about everything, and women have to wear skirts and all that, But now the funny part. There's no rules about shoes. There's always a loophole.
Really?
So from what I heard, imagine if you cannot, everyone has to dress the same, but you can so they basically walk with stripper shoes.
Can they go barefoot?
I don't know, but from what I heard, imagine
stripper shoes. Okay.
You have to go to meetings 7 days a week and dress like a Jehovah's Witness or long skirts and stuff like that in the religion.
My mind just went to the stripper shoes.
So you go all in on the shoes, like glitter and ding, 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 ding. So from what I heard, the sisters in that the congregation, they walk dressed like nuns, but with stripper shoes.
They got their stilettos on. Yes, their stilettos. That's so cool. I have this idea. It's a. Let me run this past you. So I have this idea that could happen, and that is they open back up the Kingdom Halls. And remember, before the lockdown, they were already doing the whole making people go to other congregations that were further away. So it was an extra burden or whatever for people to go to Kingdom Halls further away. So if they do open things up, that wouldn't surprise me, because then the members could experience just how much tougher that is. Or even if the Kingdom Hall is local, whether they get complaints or not, I believe that the leadership will end up saying something to the effect of, "We did hear your comments, and we do understand it's been a burden for you. So we brought back the, whatever it is, JW Stream or Zoom, because you've asked for it. And it'll sound like as though we wanted it." That's what I picture happening, or could happen very easily. And it won't seem like we were forced into that online religion, because we actually begged for it.
Yeah, they have to change something, and should have prepare a little better and put up all the things we think in what direction they are moving. Obviously, exclusive brethren. Obviously, online religion. How long will it take before they do prosperity gospel?
We never know, but what I do know is that they need
and
us.
Not getting anything back.
Right.
There's a reason why prosperity gospel exists. You can do it 2 ways. I tell you that you're a piece of shit and you have to give money, for God will not love you unless you give money to God, you know.
Right.
But can you make people feel shit if you don't talk to them, if you just show them videos that they should feel like shit? No, it doesn't really work. I don't know. The other way is
propaganda. Okay.
Like, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
If they will go into, let me know in the comment. Do you think they will slowly move into prosperity gospel? Because they are going to televangelism.
Mm-hmm. I do think that the organization needs the members, whether they dwindle down or remain at the number that they are. I don't think it matters, because they need the members and they need the religion portion of this corporation, because we are the front. That's what it is. The front. That's what the religion is. A front. It's the front of this, real estate empire.
Yeah. I look into other religions just for fun to compare. Just
I like to do that too.
Also to predict what Watchtower are doing next, because they also look into what all cults end up in the same place with the information control. Because it's just the evolution of doing what works. That's what North Korea, Jehovah Witnesses, and all these cults end up with. The same.
Exactly.
It's just the evolution of what works. And that's why all coffee shops in the end taste like I don't know, Starbucks. It's just turned into McDonald's. Everything turned into McDonald's in the end. So it's fine. I watch other religions to see what they do and what works. And our friends, the Amish, they double in number every 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, is it simply from the children they have?
Yeah, they have a lot of children, and believe me, those children grow up in a cult. It's not this beautiful, they'll have horses and they seem so happy. Well, we used to get beatings if he wasn't smiling. It's basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
If a kid say, I would like to have one button open, and I don't know if all of them get beatings, but it's a jail of ugly clothing. But still, they are growing, and that's all that's important.
Right.
So, but obviously, I don't think the Amish really making any money. The Mormons making money, and Watchtower is not making money. So, do a little Amish and a little Mormon combo there, and a little exclusive brethren. It would be fun to see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And all religions need outlet, to keep the young. Then the young must have something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
To meet a girl. I got baptized because I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't want to have a girlfriend. I was very serious. I didn't want to marry anyone before I was ready to get married. I didn't want to have a girlfriend before that. But still, you're brainwashed to believe that only Jehovah Witness sisters are the only women on the planet that don't have STDs and will kill you while you're sleeping.
Exactly.
So you have to be baptized.
It's a protection to choose a Jehovah's Witness sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're basically looking forward to all of your goals and dreams are in the organization, and then you're kind of trapped. So that's how the Amish, they have very strict rules of how to flirt in the organization, but you stay in the organization and you find a wife, and then you have to stay because of the family. The same with Mormons. If you're a Mormon man and you don't go on a mission, and no one will date you.
I believe that.
So
even the girls do the missions.
Don't really want to go, but then it is a cash cow for the Mormons, because they have to pay money to send them out.
Right.
Parents have to pay for that. So, and then when you invested something, you're stuck, like you said, when you invested 1.5 years of missionary, you feel like, I invested this, so now I can just pick up my Molly Mormon wife and wait for the celestial kingdom,
Right. And it's very hard to even if you have situations that make you question and you find yourself in your head within cognitive dissonance, if you are acting out and walking out your belief through sharing the gospel door to door, or how the Mormons do what they do, if we're acting it out literally with our bodies and we are selling it and offering it, it's hard to remain with doubt. So it makes the cognitive dissonance portion, it makes you become more of a believer. Like whether a prophecy fails or happens, even when the prophecy fails, you're still a believer. And the faith is even stronger because of the way people walk through and act out their belief system. So it's not so much what the doctrines are, but there was certain things that people do that keep them devoted and loyal and obedient, and the peer pressure. You know, these things that you will find amongst all authoritarian cults. You'll find them. The love bombing. There's these different things.
You know,
public humiliation. You know, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all the same. You spoke about this, how more the sunken cost fallacy, and there's a lot of stuff in that corner. And they did a test, so they had a speech that was made to be boring. It was a boring speech, and they allowed 3 test groups to go in to listen to this speech, and then ask them what they thought about it. And it was a boring speech. There's like no doubt about being a boring speech. That was the whole point. But in order to get in there, they divided the test groups into 3 groups. And one of them could just go straight in. One of them had to ask some question and say, since this is a thing about sex, we just need you to see that you're not embarrassed about this weird word. So they had to read a word, some kind of profanity, sexual profanity. Mm-hmm. And then the third group had to read out loud to other people some real bad sexual profanity. So
one heard it and one had to speak it out. Okay.
Yeah. So one group could just go in to listen to the bad speech. One had to read kind of profanity, and one had to read it out loud, some really gross, like sexual,
Mm-hmm.
and then listen to it. And the group that had to invest more, then you have to justify for yourself, why did I sacrifice all of this? I sacrificed all of this because this is going to be good. So they came out, those that wasted the most time and got the most abuse, they would say that this was a very interesting and factual speech.
Yes.
So the more you invest, the more you are invested of brainwashing yourself. This was really, really, really interesting.
And the way you spoke of abuse, there's something called trauma bonding and, Stockholm syndrome. So there's things related to abuse that actually releases chemicals in our brains that happen when we are abused or when we're love bombed. And so people that are in abusive relationships, and you wonder why they go back to the abusive partner, what's wrong with them, but what's actually happening with them is it's an addiction. And it's not so much an addiction to that person that abuses them, but they are addicted to the chemical releases that happen in their brains. So they're withdrawing from those chemical releases that they got addicted to. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I can feel that on myself. Like I feel safe if someone abusing me, and that's really sad.
And see, I feel safe. This is, and I know what you mean. I tend to hoard things. So when something around me where I'm sitting or whatever is a little bit messy, I'm much more comfortable. If things are very clean and streamlined and pristine, I'm not as comfortable. Isn't that strange? So it's kind of like this disarray. I'm comfortable in a setting of disarray.
Yeah. I feel safe if people hate me. If people dislike me and hate me and are angry with me and want to kill me, then everything makes sense because that's how I was raised.
That was an ordinary Tuesday for you, wasn't it?
I literally thought I would be executed because we were practicing execution when I was 6 years old, and I still have difficulty to talk about it. And every time someone knocked at the door in the school, I almost shake my pants because I thought it was the janitor who would torture me to death.
This was something that happened at your school, huh?
No, my parents' practice said, the police will come to school and they will force you, they will say, make a drawing of Santa Claus or we will kill your brother. And my mother said, and it doesn't matter if they kill your brother. The most important that you don't make a drawing of Santa Claus, stuff like that.
Okay, so they got you prepared mentally for the abuse that would be happening, the persecution. That is so fascinating.
Was real.
Yes. Yes, I so get it. And I'm sitting here thinking about your parents. I'm almost empathizing with them, thinking that they're doing you such a grand favor to prepare you for this expected, thing that they've been told all along. But yet you and me, we grew up terrified on a regular basis. And that was our norm.
Yeah. Like UL Brown says here, someone said they felt strangely calm amongst the panic of the pandemic. Their therapist said that you were brought up around chaos, it's normal to you. That's actually true. A lot of ex-witnesses said that, like, everyone's panicking, and we're like, this is not even Armageddon.
Right? Right. We're an ex-cult member. This is like, next. Oh, people are doing this. We're familiar with it. Oh, people are being pit against each other. Yes, we're familiar with it. Oh, we're hearing stories that are based on no facts whatsoever, but we are supposed to believe it. Oh, this is familiar. Conspiracy theories? Well, that could be true. Jehovah works in mysterious ways. It was all like very familiar, which made me look at the United States like, why is half of America turning into a cult? And I'm going to tell you, I was quite triggered. I would go from between quite triggered and relaxed. Like, I've done this before. Okay, let's see. Stay away from everybody I know. Yeah, I can do this.
To be honest, and let's not talk too much about politics, but you remember, I'm not American, but people in Europe speak English, and we get, we have C-SPAN, we have Fox, we have NBC, we have all of this, channels. So we kind of see a lot. But the thing is, it's easy from the outside. It's a lot in America that reminds me of a cult.
Yes.
It's the same in Norway, and I'm blind to it because I live here. But
very
in
fascinating.
America, there's a lot of stuff, and so I don't want to insult anyone, but I can just give some examples, like exceptionalism. Like Jehovah Witnesses say that it's the worst day as a Jehovah Witness is better than the best day as a worldly.
Mm-hmm.
That's exceptionalism. Yeah, and it's obviously just bullshit. But I quite often see that in right-wing media in America, they say like the worst day in America is better than the best day anywhere else. Obviously, all Americans that watch this, if you think about it, and probably already knew that's not the case. The best day in Norway is probably as good as the best day in the US and so on. And
right, and so that's
removed to America because it's a poor country with less civil rights than Norway, for instance. It has worse economy, it has worse civil rights. I would lose freedom and money to move to America.
That is correct.
But they have this kind of culture sometimes.
Yes.
Let's stay out.
And
my girlfriend.
It's fascinating, this terminology you was using, because it will later be used. We can retrieve it from our own brain as our own like mantras that we would say in our heads if we get any doubts. We just automatically retrieve that and it takes us out of any doubts. Or if we see something with our eyes that seems off or wrong, we retrieve that the best day in the, that statement.
Yeah.
Thought stopping cliches. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to be sensitive as well. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So I can just give another example. It's a small example, but it's an example. Like, I have never heard in media in Norway or Sweden, it's like that they refer to people as our enemies. A cult-like organization like North Korea or the United States of America often talk about their enemies, while less cult-like places use very nice wordings like potential aggressor might,
Right.
When you look at American TV, and more the right wing, the more like China will kill us, and they actually
Yes.
and also they use word for kind of like apostates or like wordly a cult like organization often have words about those on the outside that are not
defectors
nice.
or traitors.
Yeah, and that word is, as soon as you put that label on someone, that person is bad because of, you put the label apostate on someone, he's a bad person.
Right.
And I noticed they use the word anti-American the same way as the word how they use apostate. And
correct.
if you go to Canada, you never hear them talk about anti-Canadians. And if you go to Norway, you never hear anyone talk about anti-Norwegians. And if you
This
go
is
to
true.
they will talk about anti-Mexicans. But if you go to Utah, you will hear them talk about anti-Mormons.
Our identity is very wrapped up.
Anti-Christ and anti-Watchtower. So it's a very culty thing to have this label for enemies just to stick on them very quickly. So that was my 2 cents, and please don't shoot me.
No, and I want to be very clear too that it's very normal to agree to disagree, and I think there's a huge portion of us here in America that do. And then way at the ends of one side is this little fringe group that's kind of hanging off the edge, and then on the other side this other fringe group, and that's like the area I was talking about, not the ordinary citizen here in America.
No,
but it's been fascinating,
Yeah. Okay. So just talking about human psyches, that has a lot to do with cults and also politics. Some countries still have the medieval system of 2 parties. And America is one of them. But most countries left that with more infrastructure that you can have more. So in Norway, we have, like, I'm a member of a party. And we have like 4% of the votes, and that's enough for us to be in Congress and speak, And then you don't get the black and white, like black or white, Republican or Democrat or left or right. You have all these kind of parties.
Did you call this medieval?
Maybe it's the wrong word, but it's.
I've never heard of it thought of that way, and this is a new concept you're presenting to me. So
okay,
I'm curious and open to see what you mean, yet I've never looked at it this way. So this is fascinating. Tell me more.
Okay, so if we go back 500 years in Sweden, then you would have, imagine if you would have a democratic election in the medieval times. How can you be counting ballots and all of that? That's really difficult. So what you do is that every area can appoint electoral vote for all of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have electoral votes, and that's very unprecise because the winner will get 100%. While real life, it's much more nuanced than that. So then you end up with, the 2-party system that unless you think you can actually get more than 51% of the votes, then it's no reason to run. And that means that a lot of reasonable people can't run. and means that a lot of minorities won't get. And then all these people, we would have elections, and like every city would appoint anyone, and the farmers would appoint someone to represent the farmers, and someone would represent the shoemakers, and someone would represent the trade people. You know, the system, and they would change it all the time. And then they would elect a king for a period of years, and the king would have the power to and then the legislation would be passed by the Congress, that kind of system. That is what many countries had in medieval time, and it's very similar to the American democracy as of today.
This is so fascinating.
Yeah,
I'm hearing this. Like, I'm hearing what you're saying, and as you're speaking it out and describing it, I'm just shaking my head, going, yeah, that's true.
Yes.
So, okay.
I don't mean to step on anyone's toes, but since we grew up in a cult, I assume all of us did. And
it's political things that we can all learn more political talk, because we grew up not really being able to speak of it, even though we were considered neutral. It was more than simply neutral. We weren't even to speak of politics, and to understand how it works is very fascinating to me, and I'm still learning. So I'm hearing you talk about some history, and I'm very fascinated by it. Yeah. Did you say that where you're at, it's an apartheid?
Apartheid? No.
Thank you. What was it that you called it?
I don't know. I think I might have misspoke if I say apartheid. This is not.
Okay, erase.
I'm a member of a party.
Member of a party. That's what it was. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. But if you can take me from where you were at to other things that
most
how they work.
In a cult, we have black and white thinking,
Correct. Us and them, very black and white.
The two-party system that some countries still have, and since you mentioned USA, they also have it. And then you get these two fractions that's very polarized against each other.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily a good thing, because in reality, you don't go to any society like a free society and find two groups that are against each other. That's not really how reality works, like rich against poor. It's more complicated than that, and there's much more nuances than. So it was not to bash America. It's just the reason why most countries abandoned the two-party system is because it's very old, and we have the technology to actually count the ballots and have a representative democracy. That means the Congress, like my party, have maybe 4 or 5% of the votes in Norway.
Okay.
But that does not translate down to 0. It translates down to 5. So we can go with our 5. When we get 5% of the votes, we see that as a win, and we go to Congress.
Okay.
So then because we don't have the two-party system, so we have like 9 parties, and you can start your own, then we'll have 10.
Oh, really? Okay. So there's some. Oh, I didn't know this. This is so. Okay. So it could be more than 2. It could be 4 to 6.
Yeah,
and people get to vote with on these different ones. Okay.
Yeah. So because then you have a representative democracy instead of the winner takes it all democracy. But I'm not here to bash America. Okay. I'm just saying that the human mind
I don't think
pick up on the black and white thinking in a two-party system, and it will go like this, and you get less and less united the longer time it takes. And it's not good for anyone, including, I would say.
I agree.
England, I think England still have that system.
Do they? Okay.
And I think I don't know any other European country that still have the two-party system. But I'm not an expert in this, so...
I'm not either.
But so in Norway, in our Congress, we have a communist party, and more or less, quite often we will have a Nazi party. Because everyone's, if someone votes for you, you end up in the Congress. And the good thing about that is the Nazis are not building bombs. neither are the communists. They actually meet and talk to each other and try to smile for the camera.
So is it fair to say that, you know, what's going on in the country you live in has not expanded to that point that history has shown us, for example, Nazism and Hitler, like it hasn't advanced to that place of abuse or you know, toxic?
You know, if 2% of the Norwegian population would vote for a Nazi party, well, then we would have a Nazi in the Congress. But it's still like the rest, 98% are not. So
Okay.
we have like, I think we have 300 in our Congress. It's like something 350 people, and one of them is a communist.
Okay.
And 0 of them is a Nazi. But I would not be surprised. I would be sad, but I would not be surprised if there would be a Nazi ever now and then.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't do the mistake to vote in like hundreds of them. Thank God.
Right. Yeah.
So no, my point is just. I hope I didn't insult anyone. Now I don't want to go into politics, but.
Well, I'm appreciating this from a historical point that I'm not familiar with, so I appreciate that. You know, I wasn't familiar with some of this stuff you brought up, so I get to hear you, get to take it in and ponder, and I have not gotten the impression that you're telling me how to think or how it should look, but just the difference, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I stand by the thing. I mean, with a two-party system, and that America is not the only country that has. Sweden used to have it too, but like I said, most people abandoned it when we got some kind of infrastructure and people were literate, and we can write letters, and we can actually have a representative democracy, and that means that. How many Americans are there? 100 millions. That means that there should be at least 10 different parties, I think.
Okay, it could, if it was to go that way, it could look like that. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So and
now,
then,
see,
then
you're the person
more of a trying to cooperate with each other.
Yes.
Instead of us and them
versus them. Yes. Now, see, it was you that brought it to my attention that here in America, children's rights are not where they should be.
No, actually, sorry about that.
But what?
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Okay.
but you're right. America is the only country that haven't signed
That's the thing, the signed.
The Declaration of Human Rights, you know, children rights. So the Declaration of Human Rights is one thing, and then you have one Declaration of Female Rights, which is weird because they are humans, but okay, it came later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how just everyone signs it, and I'm happy. So they have human rights, you have female women rights, and then you have one of children rights. And America is actually the only country that haven't signed it, which is weird because you don't have to sign all of it. You can actually remove most of it and just sign a section of it. So it's kind of weird that the United States haven't signed any of it because it looks really bad when North Korea signed sections of it.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah. So it's
wow. Okay.
And America did not.
Well, you know how you said earlier that you like to, you know, learn about other groups, other cults to find out what they believe and what their practices are and stuff. I was doing that one day with a group that I can't remember what they're called. So I'm sorry about that. But one of the people that was in this documentary kind of video, who was part of this group as a child. Okay, it was kind of like a place where you could get sent if you were on drugs. So it was like that. And of course, the way that they recruited the kids in there was very deceptive, how they handled the parents and separated them and the whole deceptive thing. So these teenagers ended up in this group and the certain activities happened. So there was a person that grew up in it, you know, and was speaking about it, and she has gotten to that place of children's rights, and was speaking about it. What you just said about that signature has not been signed yet, and I remember putting together what you have said and listening to her, and it was a really nice confirmation that not that I'm happy that it hasn't been signed, but to understand there's something holding this up, and it would be fascinating to know what it is what I'm saying, because she's trying to get things moving to where it can be signed.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of weird. So yet again, I don't want to offend the Americans. It's not like I'm anti-American or anything like that. It's just when you talk to Americans, they often have the feeling that they refer to the country as the country of land of the free, and like they have freedoms and other people don't. And it reminds me very much about being a Jehovah Witness when we say we have freedom, other people don't. We are the happiest people. We have the best marriages. We have the best marriages, the healthiest children, the happiest
Right.
children, everything is the best. While reality was different, And when it come to like civil freedom and stuff like that, America used to be up front, like in the beginning of the 1900s, as long as you were a white male.
Right.
But
white
we
male,
were
yeah.
behind on if you're a black person, So to the average, they were kind of like Europe, but from a white male perspective or a white perspective, and I'm white, and we're white in Europe. So
Right,
we would
I
look
am
at
too.
America and see they were ahead of us, and we would go after America, and America was an inspiration. And the reason why Norway has a red, white, and blue flag is actually because that was 1814, and they said they wanted a flag with the same colors of America because it's a good country with a lot of civil liberties to look up to.
Exactly.
So,
okay.
You have to mention that. But
that's fascinating.
Today, when Americans talk about this, it reminds me about being a Jehovah's Witness when they talk about America and freedom, like it's something they invented and they only had. And I have a friend that served in Iraq, and they talk about protecting our freedom. Like he actually thought that Saddam would go to America, fill up big crates with freedom of speech, and take the freedom of speech on a truck and drive it to Iraq. It's not like
that is a good mental picture of it. Yes, you have to you have to visualize it somehow.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. Now, have you heard that America is an experiment?
Nope.
No? Okay. I've heard this, and I'm not quite clear why. That America is somehow an experiment. So, yeah. So I'll have to look into that a little bit more.
Talking about America, I don't really try to stay away from politics, and I don't want to be anti-American because I'm not.
I've actually never gotten that impression from you.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm not American enough. Maybe that's why. But to me, discussing different political situations is just as relaxing to me as discussing different religious communities. So
yeah.
But we can talk puppies, we can talk kitty cats, we can talk hair. We can talk all kinds of things. So you got married, right? Is this?
Yeah. I just want to clarify. The only way I talk about America, it was the thing in America that I see as being cult-like. And I will be happy to discuss anything in Norway that is cult-like, black and white thinking and so on. But,
and it's actually very hard for us to not recognize certain characteristics and practices and techniques after we've learned about them.
Yeah.
Before we did not have any clue that these things were happening. And today, if you've learned these things that are across the board, like we were talking about, they almost stand out like a neon sign.
Yeah.
And so it's almost, so I can't help but go, look, you know, I recognize what that is. So it would be hard not to. So in my mind, that's what you're talking about. And it's
Yeah.
smart to recognize those things. It's very smart.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it's getting later. It is 01:24 a.m. because
Oh,
I'm
okay.
living in the future. Except Joelle, she's living in the very future. She's in Australia. Check facts. So I have to go to bed now. My beautiful
Okay.
wife, I can finish the tea in my cow cup. Do you have anything Jehovah Witness related? I feel I have actually bad conscience now. I feel like I violated some trust, started talking politics here.
I get that you're feeling. If I abuse you, would you feel more comfortable? You dirty brat. There.
Nah,
Call you names or something. No, I hear you. So, and plus you're tired. So,
yeah.
do I have anything, JW, like info?
You don't have?
I've just been wondering about how they're going to open things up. So I'm glad we talked about that. Since this pandemic is kind of coming to a close, things are opening up more. And what I believe is going to be happening with people is called institutional syndrome. And what that is prisoners or people that have spent time in jail or in the institution after they leave from being there so long, when they assimilate into public or society at large, they begin to have maybe anxiety attacks or just it's a bit challenging. So if anybody experiences that, that's actually very normal. So just know that it's going to pass. The more you become familiar with a routine that you haven't been doing now for the past year or so. It's called institutional syndrome. It's something that people, even when we leave cults, we can become like that too. So yeah, if you can look it up, and
I'm gonna
I think it
Google
would be
that.
helpful.
Institutional
Okay.
syndrome.
Yes,
See,
that
maybe
people might very well experience institutional syndrome. And you know, therapists are very saturated at this point with people that are adjusting to this pandemic and stuff. You know, yes, things are clearing up here, but then there's India. Okay, there's things going on in India, and to me, I don't think the whole world can really lean back and take a breath of fresh air and go until we feel it. Not, you know, until we don't see something like India, we need to see it clear up a bit more. You know, but we can have some joy in knowing that some success is actually happening, if you want to look at it that way, regarding the vaccines and such. I don't want to tell people what their opinions should be, because I know it's kind of different for everybody, but yeah, that's all we wanted to say.
yeah.
And I happen to dig you very much, so thank you for inviting me to come on.
Yeah, well, everyone is invited, but I think, how was January 6th reported in Europe? So I guess they mean the insurrection. Okay,
Correct.
so I don't want to talk politics, but since thank you for the $5. I'm I'm
That
willing
deserves
to
an answer, yes.
for $5. No, it was reported as, you know, if okay, so to those Americans watching this, if you would see a country that's called Oompa Loompa, where the president lose an election, they have 5 recounts, he still lose the election, and he agitates a mob to storm the Congress. How would you see that? How would American news report on what's happening in Oompa Loompa country? They would say that this is a stage, it's a coup. Someone's trying to bring down democracy in the country of Oompa Loompa. And that's what every media I know about reported in January 6th in Europe, as someone's trying to put an end to democracy, someone that lost an election. That has been recounted several times. So that's how it was reported in basically every country on the globe, I know. because it's pretty easy when you see it from an outsider's perspective. If you would see this from if this would happen in any other country than America, and you would see it from far behind, you say, oh no, this is going to become a dictatorship. That's how it was reported, and obviously people were worried because we like America, believe it or not. So that's how they reported it. And the heretics, the Pope. Thank you for taking time off. Taking time off. I know you would rather spend time with your children. No, that's a bad joke. And see here how it was not. And it was a bad joke.
Oh my goodness, my children. Father. Okay, yeah, I get it.
It was
actually, that's actually a part of something that can make a group cultic if they call a higher person that is in leadership a parental kind of figure, and then you're spoken of as children, and then to top it off, if they change your name, that's a form of changing your identity, the identity that you showed up with.
Yeah, they change it could be like passive, but still like brother Gustafsson instead of Gustafsson, or elder Gustafsson. If you're there is a way of changing your personality from person to brother, and because they also say he's no longer a brother. Correct.
And so if we as
it's a funny. We have to stop soon, but my girlfriend, she's really good with. She's an artist, so she makes a lot of ex-Jehovah Witness art, but I'm not allowed to show you yet. But I'm asking her that I can please make a Redbubble so I can sell it, because to make a little money on the channel. But anyway, she made a very nice Christmas thing, So it was me standing together with Anthony Morris in the JW studio, and it was Christmas decoration everywhere.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, she's very talented with that. She made a thumbnail today, but it was really fast. But anyway, so we had this Christmas decoration, me and Anthony Morris in the studio, and I posted it on Jehovah Witnesses Facebook groups just because I'm an asshole. But
it's kind of fun,
The messages I got was, how can you do this to Jehovah?
Precisely.
Anthony Morris isn't Jehovah, but that's the rhetoric they used in different ways. You can't, most of them say, you can't mock Jehovah.
Correct.
And Anthony Morris isn't Jehovah.
But it's very much equivalated to that. It is. And so what I was going to finish saying was that, and we as children of God or a group, that actually makes it to where we would be more obedient to follow leadership, parental people that are in those positions, and we would never really grow because we would remain in a childlike position, and that would keep us in a position of dependency of the leadership. That's part of keeping us stuck psychologically.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the flag earlier, and I'll end this really quick, and I know you're tired, hon, but you were talking about your flag and that the country wanted the colors from the United States.
Yeah.
So the rainbow flag that the LGBTQ plus community uses actually was a rainbow flag, and they took that from another flag in history that meant inclusiveness.
Oh.
And that's why they put these colors together. So, history of different things and why it's turned out the way it is today is very, very interesting. So there's these 6 colors of the rainbow. Recently, what has been added is on top of the already there colors, which starts with red and ends with purple, red being at the top, they've added a brown stripe and they've added a black stripe. And this is, I believe, to represent people of color and equality and inclusion. So it's fascinating how things can, change over time for whatever reasons. But
Yeah.
I get that you're tired.
No. I just would like to ask you something, because I'm thinking about making a video, and that's kind of personal video about how I went. So first, it's very centric about me, because I just want to admit all my mistakes, because it's also a little glimmer of hope there. Because I started out being brainwashed as a child. It wasn't my fault, but I was brainwashed to be a homophobe. And then little by little, I turned into human rights activist, and I will go in a pride. Actually, I'm not gay, but I will go in a pride with a T-shirt or something that says "Sorry for what I said when I was a Jehovah Witness."
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, because it's fair to apologize. But I'm thinking about
this is amazing. You are an example of an ally.
Yeah, because it's fair to apologize. But I'm thinking about saying just sorry for what I said when I was self-righteous. So because there's no reason to flip off the Jehovah Witnesses in general if I'm the one making the apology. So I'm thinking about either sorry for what I said when I was self-righteous, and just leave it with that without enough witnesses, because that would be a passive-aggressive apology. But anyway, because the first time I saw a pride, I was a young man, a pioneer, and I had met because the gays had a location by the Kingdom Hall. So I met them when I was going to the Kingdom Hall first, and they were planning something, and I said, "Hello, boys and girls," and they laughed when they realized I was a Jehovah Witness. That was just a nice encounter. And then I saw them kind of a parade, and when they came close to me, and I'm not proud of saying this, and it was not a voluntary, but when they came close, I felt sick to my stomach. I turned around and felt like I had to throw up.
Yes.
I'm not proud of that, but it happened, and I had to do some soul searching. Why is this? I was a believing Jehovah Witness, but I saw myself as a nice person, and hate the sinner, not the sin, and all of that, and I also hated myself. So there's no reason why I should feel sick when I saw them more than any other sinner, because that's what I thought. But I felt sick to the stomach, and I had to turn away when I saw them. That's not the moment in my life, and I'm admitted that in public. And I want to apologize, even if I didn't say anything out loud. It was still wrong. And obviously it wouldn't happen now.
And because you've educated yourself. So, and as I'm looking at it, I'm relating to, you were a young boy or young man rather, and where you were at in your indoctrination, this has been presented to us and many other Christian faiths as something disgusting and something vile and an abomination. So these things would contribute to that kind of a reaction. And if you have those things in your mind, and then you visualize things or imagine things that don't come natural to you, that could make someone have a reaction like this. It doesn't sound surprising to me, and I appreciate the apology, and I'm very proud of you for admitting that. I know you do.
I apologize for being brainwashed as a child, but when I had this reaction as a grown-up, I realized something's wrong. These are humans. I can't react like that. And my first thought was like, there's something wrong with them. They made me feel like this. They should be removed. And I just looked around when everyone was just waving. And I thought, okay, I'm alone on this one.
Because they're acting all friendly.
But if there was like everyone else would have reacted like that, I would have probably feel justified, because everyone feel the same like me. I'm not the only one that feel disgusted on this. This is normal. But the fact that I was the only one feeling disgusted made me realize there's something wrong with me. This is not anything I'm proud of. I'm just saying it happened. And it was an event where His Majesty the King was in official visit to Trondheim. So he was standing on the balcony waving, and all kind of weirdos passed by. And one of them was the group with gay people, So it wasn't like a real pride. But, and I just felt sorry for the king. And he was just standing there waving like nothing. And I thought, if I would have been the king and go on, then it would be a scandal. and people will ask me, and what would I say? And my Jehovah Witness brain, just pop up with all this pioneer thing. So I would say that I felt sick and it had nothing to do with them.
Mm.
And that's what I was thinking of the rest of the day. I'm not okay, say in this very hypothetical scenario where I am a Jehovah Witness and the King of Norway. That will probably never happen. But in that hypothetical scenario in my head, I were sick by watching other people, but I would be okay with me making up a lie.
Yes.
And that really drove in, the second layer of there's something really wrong here, that I feel like throwing up when I watch human beings doing something that only includes walking. They're not having gay sex. They're just identifying as homosexuals.
Yes.
While walking on a sidewalk, and I feel like throwing up, and I think they should be punished for this. While in this hypothetical scenario, why I explained to the press why I turned away from them, I would be okay with me committing an actual sin.
Yes.
So I actually had to do some soul searching there, and I ended up an apostate and pro equal rights for everyone, including gays. So
I want to say how proud I am of you for recognizing what was going on within you and taking time to look at that and find out where that came from. And the reason I'm saying this is because people that are in authoritarian cults will have a certain feeling, and then we just stuff it and never take the time to reflect on it. And you did. And that's growth. That's growth in any kind of knowing who you are. And so that's amazing. That's truly amazing.
Yeah, you think I should make that video? It's just a personal journey from being a brainwashed child to
I do, because I do
person.
I do think you should, if it's on your heart, because I do believe other people will relate to it.
Yeah.
So you're not saying this is who I am today, but as I look back, I see how I reacted to a certain situation of simply human beings walking and able to be authentically who they are. This was my physical reaction. So the fact that you went from there to where you are now, do you think that might have been part of your waking up process?
Yeah, of course.
Then definitely do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because it's kind of an insult telling people that I felt. Yeah, it's obviously I'm not proud of the story when I felt they were just walking on the street and I turned away and felt like throwing up when I watch human beings. I'm not proud of that in any way, and it's not a nice thing to say either.
Well, actually, what I'm really hearing is it's hard for you to admit that you were once like this because of who you authentically are today.
Yeah, but it wasn't by choice. Because the funny thing, I met these people. So there was like this is the Kingdom Hall, and this is a gay bar. They were like wall to wall in Trondheim.
Okay.
So whenever there was a new publisher and they say, "Where can I find the Kingdom Hall?" we would just say, "Ask them for Remis," and then the poor publisher would walk around and ask him for the gay bar. No joke.
That's hilarious.
The gay bar was next to the Kingdom Hall, and one day and I'm a big guy, and I was walking, so I'm very visible when I'm walking.
Yes.
I'm not a very discreet person. I'm I'm like an elephant in a China store, that kind of person.
Yes.
And there was a lot of gay people standing outside because that's where they made, their service group, so to speak, met up outside the gay bar, and I was going to the service group for the Kingdom Hall. And so all of them stopped talking and looking at me when I came walking there, because I was walking toward them and then we met and I said, "Hello, boys and girls," and they laughed when I just went to the room next door. So we had this interaction and I felt like, okay, I'm not a homophobe in any way. I'd said hello to them and we had just had a normal encounter. So I actually had a meeting before, but then 1 hour later, when I was in street witnessing and they came on this parade, I had a total different reaction that wasn't voluntary. It was
Yes.
put inside me against my will.
Yes.
And I realized that there was an element of brainwashing that was wrong.
And it's based on fear and
Narcissism.
phobia.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, but because this brainwashing was like so negative and judgmental to them, even though they did not do any acts of homosexuality, they were just walking.
Right. Right.
I'm still not happy if I see two guys making out in front of me. I would turn away. I'm not ashamed of that. It's just different of taste, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not obligated to love everything on the planet all the time.
Correct.
That's a different thing. But if two gay people walking holding hands, you know, that's none of my business. And I'm happy for them if they're happy. So the fact that I was in this hypothetical thing, when I started making excuse, what if I would have been the king and made a fool out of myself? How would I save the situation? Well, I would lie, and that would be okay because I'm a Jehovah Witness. I'm allowed to lie to make Jehovah Witnesses look good. That's what
Correct.
Jehovah Witnesses believe. If you get a difficult question, you can just say something that's almost true and save the day. So
Yes.
how it's okay that I feel sick and judgmental for them doing nothing else than walking, while I can justify me lying. And I realized that there is a layer of narcissistic brainwashing here. That
Yes.
it makes excuses for what we do, but not for what them. I still believe that the act of homosexual sex was wrong, but not more than masturbation, which I myself did, and I knew I did. So
Mm-hmm.
I see
It was all bundled together. Yes, I understand.
This asshole attitude to them, and making excuses for myself, and I do something was really wrong. It was actually one of you could call it a small waking up process.
And what you were also experiencing was cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
What you were seeing was the reality of what you were seeing didn't match up with the reaction you were having in your body. You were saying it was, spontaneous. It was, it welted up within you, but you knew that this reaction that you were physically having, which you did not prompt to have, did not match the reality you were looking at. You were looking at this simplistic thing.
Yeah, that would make a great video. Then I'm gonna make it, because many times in my waking up process was the fact that, okay, so I'm a thinker. I think, like a philosopher, you try to explain everything all the time, and being a Jehovah Witness doesn't make it better. So you always have to explain everything, and I didn't like the narcissist, like feeling that I was better than other people.
You recognize that? That
was a narcissistic thing that I felt disgusted by them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was okay with me lying. And then all these ideas, because you're always the center. If God's people is the center of universe, and then I am representing God's people, and then it's like the angels will give me food, and like everything is built like a pyramid with me on top. That doesn't make sense unless I'm like, it's so narcissistic. And so you get all this idea of like super narcissistic. That it's been in the Watchtower that, why World War II happened? The Watchtower stated like explicitly that World War II, the whole war, happened because Satan tried to kill the anointed remnant.
Isn't that fascinating? How they can use replacement theology to make it about them. It's so fascinating.
It was an attempt to kill people in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. That's where the remnant men lived, but was none of them in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But it's been in the literature that World War II was an attempt by Satan to kill the anointed remnant.
And see, there's so much more to this historical event than the possibility of the anointed being killed within World War II.
Yeah.
And when you think of Holocaust, we hear about how the witnesses were persecuted and some were killed and such, and this was horrible. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. But the way it is presented to us, and so much more of the historical event is omitted, meaning it wasn't brought up. You would think it was all about the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
And what makes me laugh the most is when I see a post that a Jehovah's Witness would put up of that striped uniform with a pink or fuchsia upside down triangle. And they think it's a uniform that a Jehovah's Witness once wore. And it's not, because the Jehovah's Witnesses wore the purple upside down triangle and the homosexuals wore the pink ones that were upside down. So I can't help but laugh when I see those.
Yeah, and that you remember, well, obviously remember this parade. It wasn't, I actually don't know what kind of parade it was, because the king was officially in Trondheim, and he has a castle in Trondheim in the middle of the city that he never used. He used it like once every 5 years, but he was standing on the balcony and everyone could walk past, all kind of organization and the gay. But the gay, they started their little pride before, like walking two gay people in that prison uniform you're talking about with the pink triangle.
Yes, which is why we've adopted it as a...
Exactly what the Jehovah Witness brothers had, the sisters. So there were like it was two gay girls, or I think there were two gay girls holding hands, wearing those uniform, walking, and then like 10 meters behind them came the rest of the crowd.
That's so fascinating.
To the Holocaust sympathy train, which is nothing wrong with that, but so it kind of made it a stronger thing for me, because I see that Nazi thing as my brothers.
Yes, of course.
And I knew, okay, so we were in jail for not saluting the flag, and they were in jail for loving the wrong person, and I'm so much better than them.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. And I want to remind you that authoritarian cultures or cults the leadership is often a malignant narcissist or psychopath. And what the ultimate result will be is to create a group of mini me's, meaning over time, members will become much like the characteristic of the leader.
Yeah.
So it does not surprise me that you had some narcissistic qualities showing up. That meant you were a very good Jehovah's Witness, and you were being trained and disciplined very well. The fact that you recognized it and reflected on it and went further with it is part of your path of your awakening. Usually we would come up with thought-stopping cliches or a simple explanation, shelf it, whatever. But it made you reflect, and that's impressive, actually. That's the part of anybody's journey. When something gives us a negative reaction or we get mad or something, if we take time to reflect, whoa, what is that about? It might take days, it might take weeks. And I used to take that amount of time when I would recognize something like that in me. Today, I recognize it within hours.
Yeah, but like I said, there's one thing that I'm absolutely terrified and ashamed of. It was that when I felt sick, I felt like they did something to me and they should be punished. And I looked around on everyone else and thought they should agree with me, and they did not. And then I felt like a second, like I'm better. The gay people hurt me, and the worldly people are hypocrites that don't feel sorry for me. And then I just realized that I'm wrong. But the sad thing here is, what if the worldly people would have been biased assholes and I would be normal, would I have woken up like that? Probably not, and that makes me sad. There's a chance that, if everyone else was asshole, they would just confirm my bias. Even the worldly people realize that this is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me, I don't like it. But gladly they didn't.
Yes, and I reflect on things that I don't care for about myself as well.
Good association. Sorry to interrupt you, but that was good association. The worldly people
Mm-hmm.
gave a good example. Sorry, I interrupted you. But
You're right. You're right.
Good association.
That's right.
I felt violated by the gay people. They made me feel sick and like throwing up. And I was looking for sympathy. I didn't get anyone. And I woke up a little.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, worldly people.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, whenever whenever you choose to, if you do choose to make that video, go with it. If not, that's okay too. That's okay too.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a video and yell at the Mormons and the elders also because, how they treat kids that grow up gay. I have a friend that had a gay son that committed suicide basically because he was bullied and who was a Mormon. And Mormons, they are worse. Witnesses, I try to say nice things about the witnesses when I can. And witnesses hate everything that's fun and they hate everyone. They make everyone feel bad. So if you're gay, you're not singled out. It's a thorn in your flesh that you have to live with. And they kind of like you. I have like gay friends that still witnesses, and one is an elder and stuff like that. But the Mormons, they're like single someone out for bullying, and that's just disgusting. And they have a lot of suicide among young gay kids in the Mormon church because they literally bully them.
Wow.
And they bully their kids. Like if there's a gay couple and they have a kid, they got revelation from you because they have prophets. They don't get new light and new understanding. They get a revelation like directly from God that said that your parents are gay, you are not allowed to be baptized.
Yes.
There's such an asshole move. So the grassroots among the Mormons said, this is wrong.
Yes.
You can't tell the kid that you're going to hell because your parents are not good enough if the kid wants to be baptized. So they actually had to ask God for a new revelation to change that. But then they say that you can be baptized, I think, when you're 8 or something like that. You're
correct.
Grown up.
8 years old if you have parents that are gay.
Yeah.
Now, might that have had anything to do with the protests that were happening?
Well, obviously there were protests and stuff since God had changed his mind. But
right. And the Mormons, much like the organization who says God's always had an organization, the Mormons say God's always had a prophet. It's very similar.
Yeah, I think Mormon, they have some kind of stories about people in the Bible that never died. Like Jesus said to someone that you should see, blah, blah, blah. So they believe that I think there's like 3 people that lived in biblical time that are still alive on earth today.
Oh, that's fascinating.
They just walk around so no one will notice them, but they just live and live and live because of some statements in the Bible that you will not taste death or something. Basically failed prophecies, but the witnesses say it wasn't a prophecy, it was just a way of speaking. You will never die. Well, the Mormons say, no, they never died. They're just hiding for the last 2,000 years.
Wow.
Anyway, but the Mormons do now is that, okay, you can get baptized but when you're 18, you have to denounce your parents, what they do, not your parents, but what they do. Like, that's still bullying. Do anyone else have to do that? If I would get baptized as a Mormon when I'm 8 years old, and my parents are non-Mormons or smoking, I don't have to go up the day you're 18 and denounce my parents are smoking.
Correct.
Or drink coffee. Or any other terrible sin. But if they change this, okay, so you can be baptized if your parents are gay, but you still have to denounce them. So Mormons are, I'm sorry to say that, please stop doing it, they're actually bullying gay people.
it is yes, yes. And to
There-
grow
there's
up and
no
become
point in saying
18
it.
and that has to be part of your faith to prove your loyalty, is very damaging mentally. This was not an improvement in my mind. I mean, I've seen the articles and read about it, and it's been presented as, isn't this a great small step, towards whatever it could become? And when I looked at it, I thought to myself, oh, so they get the kids and get to indoctrinate them from the time they're 8? Who's benefiting from this? The leadership of the Mormon Church is benefiting because they're creating a devout Mormon from a small age. I didn't see it as improvement. I saw it as predatory.
Yeah, yeah, but still, it's. Yeah.
And I have yet to, if I need to shift on that mentality, that'll happen.
Yeah, but like it's a journey. If you're trapped in a Jehovah Witness family and you believe the only way forward is to be baptized,
Correct. Yes.
and then later you wake up. Let's say if they would tell me that you're such a bad person that you're not allowed to be baptized when you're 16, maybe someone would, suicide or stuff. You don't know what happens. If religion is legal, I don't know. It's difficult, but. Just to say,
So,
if you're that children of gay people are not, if maybe
I see what you're saying.
happy Mormon for the rest of her life, just because you have gay parents, they should still have the same right to be in the wrong religion for the rest of their life.
Correct. And now I'm seeing it from your angle. That does make sense. How that deprived the child from, their version of the afterlife. Yes, that's correct. That's true. Yeah. So their parents aren't being held responsible for the child's spiritual growth. That does make sense. Okay. I'm seeing it in a different way. And by the way, the conversion therapy used to be done by way of actual doctors. And what conversion therapy is you show up at a place where they basically train you not to be gay anymore. Pray away the gay. It's bad. And it's basically behavioral change stuff.
Yeah.
So now that is illegal. So what is happening now is churches are now having their own conversion therapy outings. And of course, they're not trained for it. So we will see another wave of very negative results.
Yeah.
The founder of the original group finally came out and said, look, I'm gay and I apologize. Okay, I apologize. You just can't not be gay, But yeah, so that's going on. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. No, my friend, he was a Mormon and his kid were bullied and he committed suicide. He was gay and it's a gay kid, and it's sad. Well, obviously it's sad, but it's so unnecessary.
It's tragic, and the governing body member, his niece made a video about her brother who is gay and did commit suicide. Are you familiar with that?
No, I never saw the video, but I think I heard anything about it.
Okay.
No, it's really sad. I always say that, and because if it's a crime, it's a victimless crime. It doesn't hurt anyone.
Well, if it's two consenting adults,
yeah,
why not? If it's an adult with a child, that puts it in the position of child molestation and criminal.
Yeah, but that's not a different thing. It's like, if people think it's a crime, it's a victimless crime. So why care about it? No, okay, no. But then I will do that video. And my friend that lost a kid, yes, I have a inspirational story to tell. So I got to make a video with live streaming with him once. So look out for that. If you want to see my live stream when they start, I think you have to push the notification bell, because then you get a notification for a live stream. So you can see people always come into the middle and ask what it's about. So yeah, I have to go to bed now. It was really nice.
Okay, lovely.
And I have to hug my wife. So
yes, yes, you do.
Łukasz, my Polish friend, he asked where you can find the video about about World War II was about the Satan's attempt to kill the anointed, and that was a Watchtower, but you have to find it yourself.
Okay.
So you have to Google, I think, Anointed Remnant World War II Satan, and you might find it. But it was in a, I think it was in a Watchtower article. They wrote it was undoubtedly Satan's attempt to kill the Anointed Remnant. And in 1945,
there's the words. There's the words to Google.
I go with the Smurf approach now.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So no, this was really nice. So thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat, and see you in paradise.